Thanks for tuning in to evolutiongreen.com with Chris Chopik. Today we're going to be speaking with Josh Matlow, School Trustee, about breaking down silos at City Council and what he's going to do to keep Toronto moving. Tell me a little bit about what you hope to accomplish as City Councillor in Ward 22.
Well, there's a lot of things that I want to accomplish as a City Councillor for my ward. There are also a lot of things that I want to contribute to the city as a whole. I think you need to do both if you're going to be a good representative. There's four principles that I'm going to be running on. The first thing is we need to contribute better creative ideas to the city. We also need to have genuine consultation with our residents. And not the kind of consultation where you allow people to speak for 5 minutes at a mic and do what you're going to do anyway, but really listen and really bring them into the decision-making process as partners. And I've done that on a number of projects, whether it be the North Toronto redevelopment or other projects, where I know that parents and residents have really been partners rather than simply subject to decisions. That you actually build better consensus and find better decisions doing that. I also believe that there needs to be thoughtful debate. Far too many of the debates we're having in our city, whether it be over development, whether it be over bikes versus cars, or they're very narrow, and they often turn into ideological debates between the left and the right. I believe that most people don't look at issues that way. We look at not what's left or right, but what is the right thing to do. So I want to bring a spirit to City Council where even if I disagree with you on 9 out of 10 things, if there's one thing you and I agree on, we're going to work on that, and we're going to do it well, and we're going to serve the public together. So it's about coming together rather than having a polarized council. We haven't had a really united council for a long time, and I think we need to work towards that. Certainly, a lot of the ratepayers associations they haven't had the sort of membership that I think they need to be successful as they can be. Our tenants associations have been dropping one by one over many, many years, and I think we need to rebuild support for tenants associations, whether it be for tenants' rights and awareness of their rights, but even initiatives such as getting green bins and other great initiatives into buildings. You need to have strong tenants associations to stand up for what tenants needs in our ward. I also want to focus on breaking down silos. As a school trustee, my experience with school pools taught me that if you're a parent or a resident and you want to go to the school board and ask them to save pools, they'll say blame the city. The city will say blame the province, and the province will say blame the city and the school board. What I'd like to do is work with whomever is mayor and strike a standing committee where we can have city councillors, school trustees from all the boards, and relevant community organizations to focus on integrated service delivery models, focus on turning schools and community centers into hubs for communities. I don't believe just because schools are not part of the corporation of the City of Toronto that they shouldn't be part of the comprehensive plan for City of Toronto neighborhoods. We've got to do things better. Now, I could go on for hours and hours with a lot of the ideas, but the real focus is that once you get through the focus on creative ideas and thoughtful debate, genuine consultation, responsible decisions need to come after. What I find far too often is that we don't plan in the city. We have ad hoc initiatives, sometimes pet projects, but when it comes to transportation, when it comes to affordable housing, when it comes to so many priorities that have really not received the adequate funding and the adequate focus that they've needed, I think we can do a better job. We can support, for example, initiatives like an LRT on Eglinton, but we've got to do it well. I'm concerned, for example, that there may not be enough stops in the current plan for seniors to be able to have access to the new LRT on a winter day in February. So we need to plan this in a way that is thoughtful and actually works for the people that we're trying to provide services to.
There's a concept called complete streets. Are you familiar with it?
No.
New York City has adopted a complete street development strategy, and what it means is we effectively waste a lot of political equity or political conversation on what happens in Jarvis and what happens in Annette and what happens on St. Clair and what's going to happen on Eglinton, when we could have a development plan that is all-encompassing, that would eliminate a whole bunch of the debate and get us down to business. And
the principle of that, obviously I'd want to read and understand the specific complete street concept before commenting on that.
Yeah.
But the principle of what you're saying, I agree with.
Okay.
That goes back to what I was saying about these narrow debates. Like, I'll give you an example. When it comes to this silly, this war against cars idea. I drive a car. I also ride a bike. I also walk, and I take public transportation. That's what I think most Torontonians are like. So if this is a war, then I'm going to be collateral damage. Let's put that war idea away. Let's focus on how do you build a city that moves? How do you build a city that accommodates a diversity of different ways to move around? And not get into, do you like cars more than bikes or bikes more than cars? I think that's a divisive debate that should be left to the past. I think we need to figure out how do you build streets that actually accommodate multi-use. And that's how I think most people want to use our city. Because, one size doesn't fit all, and certainly not every one vehicle fits everyone's needs.
Thanks for tuning in to evolutiongreen.com with Chris Chopik. It was nice to have Josh Matlow along with us today. Drop me an email at chris@evolutiongreen.com if you'd like me to be in touch with someone you know who deserves to have their story told at evolutiongreen.com.